We're going with an opener today as we welcome in Jim Duquette, who made some news this morning. Jim, what's the latest with Pete Alonso and the Mets?
Well, Sal, this was in the context of there's a report out there about the Boras Corporation trying to target Prince Fielder's old contract, which was about 10 years ago, 9 years, in that $214 million range. So I was doing some digging, and I found out league sources told me that, in fact, that was not true. But the Mets had been given the option or offer from the Boras Corporation for a 3-year deal with Pete Alonso, exclusively to them only, 3 years with opt-outs after each year. Basically, the Cody Bellinger deal from about a year ago. Bellinger's deal was 3 years, around $80 million. So I don't know the financial part. I don't think it was that number. Presumably, it was higher than that, but it was the structure was the same, 3 years with opt-outs after each year, and it was one of those things, Sal, where as my sources were telling me, that it was only offered to the Mets first, which basically tells me that other teams weren't going to be offered that, but maybe down the road if the Mets don't bite.
Okay, so I saw this, Jim, as a little bit of desperation by Boras, trying to gain leverage by getting Mets fans behind him, because the thinking is, well, shoot, Pete for 3 years, what's the holdup here? You have actually negotiated with Boras before, so how do you read how he is playing this?
Yeah, so first off, he's definitely putting it back into the Mets court for sure, and there's definitely certainly pressure there from Mets fan base, and certainly all over Instagram and all over Twitter today. I think from that side of things, I mean, the debate is, do you want Pete Alonso on a short-term deal? And that's pretty, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, the ideal situation for both sides. Pete didn't get the deal that he was looking for. He goes back to a familiar organization. The Mets need him. Perfect fit, obviously, lineup-wise. He can handle New York. But it's also one of those things where, there was a report out there that there were 6 or 8 teams involved with Pete or interested in Pete. I don't buy that. I do buy that if this is an offer, or that is a 3-year deal that is still sitting out there, and the Mets are trying to negotiate for a period of time, you might get that many teams that will jump in and have interest. I mean, certainly the Giants and the Angels. You could talk the Red Sox, the Mariners. I would even see a team like Tampa, who needs a power bat like that, power-wise, would jump in for that price tag if it was available to them. Right now, though, it only seems like it's available to the Mets.
So, Jim, if you're David Stearns and you're in his shoes, how are you playing it at this point?
Well, I'm looking at this as a perfect scenario, right? So the Mets were willing, and if I was David Stearns, they were willing to make this offer, which they did back in the spring to Pete. 6-year deal, was 158 in that range, 5 years, 138, however you want to value it, of free agent dollars. And he's offering this to me, the Boras Corp, for less money. And certainly it's less guaranteed. These are, there's no kind of risk-free type of contracts ever, I feel like. But 1-year deals, 2-year deals, any of those opt-outs, I would try to get a 2-year guaranteed deal. I wouldn't want necessarily him to opt out after year 1. I think Pete's going to have a huge year, especially with that lineup there and with Soto there and the rest of the group. I think, going back for what he did a couple years ago, I think this is a 40 homer, 115 RBI type of season for Pete. So I'd try to see if I could get 2 years instead of having an opt out after 1. But at the end of the day, if that's the deal and it ends up 90 million or somewhere in that range, 95 million bucks. I'm trying to sign him up as quickly as I can, because I think Pete's going to have a large season.